He was at USC, I think, for about 26 years or 25 before he came here. So, and he was one of the first two or three professors who signed up to be part of the Charleston School of Law. He was a great mentor and a great friend and a great teacher, not just to students, but to me when I was here on how to teach and how to prepare and how to do things. Teaching was his passion, but so was practicing admiralty and maritime law. And he was one of those who believed, you were a better teacher if you actually did the kind of law that you taught students. With his colleagues, he was a gentleman above all else. That's what I say. He's an old school lawyer. You didn't insult people. You didn't trap people. You didn't trick people. And when a lawyer stumbled, either in the courtroom or a student in class, he didn't take advantage of that. His wife is still lives in Charleston. It was a wonderful family and a family that was always together and the family that always rallied around itself and rallied around him. What I miss most about him is just his presence and his friendship. And I miss him as a colleague and a guiding force at the school. He always was calm. He always was reasoned. And he cared about the school deeply. He cared that it got off the ground correctly. And he cared about the students and the colleagues.
Dale was the best of the best of the best. He was a lawyer's lawyer, consummate trial practitioner, just excelled at everything he put his hands on. He was brilliant with juries. He knew how to distill a case down to its very essence so that he could make it understandable. Dale, with his clients, was more generous than he needed to be. He always went the extra mile for his clients. What I learned most from Dale was, number one, to be happy and not to take myself too seriously, to be well prepared and to commit to a client and do whatever it took within the rules to advance the client's cause. He was probably too generous for his own good. Dale always put the interests of everybody else, and he always put his own interests last. What I miss most about Dale is his affability, his good humor, unlimitable ability to just light up a room and find the positive in everything.
Dad was the kind of attorney who loved practicing law. He always did. It was so infectious that the three of his four children all went into the legal career. Well, to explain Dad's style in the courtroom, he was a force to be reckoned with. The highlight of my professional career was trying cases with my dad. He was my mentor. I learned everything that I know about the practice of law from my father. Juries loved him. And he was always the most prepared lawyer in the courtroom, which always endeared him to the bench. And judges, of course, always appreciated that. Dad was an incredible family man. Dad would take all the children on Saturday mornings to Sinclair Gibbs and Simmons to give Mom a well-deserved break. And we would run around the office, raid all the candy jars, drink all the soft drinks. I learned so much from Dad. Number one, to always be forthright, of course, and honest. Dad always said, we don't make up the facts, Molly. You take the facts that you're given and you do the best that you can with them. And so professionally, to be honest, forthright, always to be the most prepared lawyer in the room and to enjoy it and have fun with it. And he had fun with it. And like I said, it was infectious. He enjoyed it so much. It just kind of passed down to the three of the four children.
As an attorney, my dad was friendly, he was practical, somewhat no nonsense, but personal, caring, and friendly. His relationship with his clients were based both on friendships as well as business relationships. He grew up in the Greek church, so he had a large Greek clientele. He also went to the Citadel, so a lot of his clients had Citadel connections. Dad, like a number of some of the older members of the bar, fell into that category of the real kind of old guard, still coat and tie every day to the office, walking on Broad Street, still the old friendly formalities of kind of what the practice, I think, used to be like when all of those lawyers knew each other. Probably the thing that I miss most about Dad is for the last 2 years of his life, he was experiencing memory loss, but I typically spent Sundays for a few hours of the day with him. The Sundays for me have been difficult and different, just as a void of not having that time with him.
I first met Peter when I came to the law firm in the summer of 1973 as a summer law clerk. I would describe Peter McGee as an exceptional attorney. I watched him give opening and closing arguments to juries with no notes. Only the finest trial lawyers get to be members of the American College of Trial Lawyers. He treated clients and everybody in the office with respect. He was always upbeat, always interested in you and who you were. And if you were coming in to talk to him about a case, he would get very involved in that. He paid attention and was so facile with his brain that he could come up with potential solutions to almost anything. Peter McGee loved Charleston, and he knew all you could know about its history and about its traditions and its people. I think his most intense interest was historic preservation. Peter married Patty from Marion, South Carolina, had two daughters, Madeline and Evie, and I've never seen a tighter family than Patty and Peter and the two daughters. He was as great as anybody could say. He was that good. I mean, the fact that every single thing he was involved in ended up with him receiving the highest award with that organization. Oh, he was my second father. My father died in 2002, and McGee stepped into the role of my father. So I miss him all the time.
So I first met Patrick in March of 1998 when he joined Clausen and Staub's. Patrick is an interesting guy, probably a little bit of an introvert. He was always a deep thinker. He was the guy who wanted his client to get a good result, knowing that our job is to pick up other people's burdens and carry them around. He took that seriously. He was a man of duty, a Naval Academy grad. Patrick was actually deployed while he worked with us. So in November of 2002, he's on reserve duty. He gets called up to Operation Iraqi Freedom. Maybe around 2012 or so, we go on a retreat, and half of us go play golf and half of us go on a kayak tour. And I'm playing golf with one of my partners, and we're looking out and it's raining, and we go, gosh, I'm glad I'm not on the kayak. And we come back to learn that they were out in a storm. And Patrick was the one who shepherded 5 of our lawyers and our office manager, none of whom were great kayakers, safely back to shore when we had lost the kayak guide and some of the other people. And Patrick was the one who saved everybody. Patrick's family, after his faith, was the biggest thing in the world to him. Patrick was married to his wife, Julie, for a long, long time. He has 3 grown children, 3 grandchildren. He was someone who never bragged about himself, never complimented himself, took a real interest in other people, and was just a man of honor. And I miss that.
I would describe my dad as an attorney, and he represented everyone from, one of the leading industrialists in South Carolina to just people that frankly couldn't pay him. One client paid us in jars of homemade pickles for about 10 years. But then, he also represented the Intertech group, which did a lot of highly technical, scientific type litigation. He also, for years and years, represented the housing authority of the city of Charleston. And that's one of the things he was most proud of. His clients loved him. A lot of them became his friends afterwards and lifelong friendships. Your mom and dad were obviously they were childhood sweethearts, and were married for 60 years. Any stranger on the street, he took it upon himself to be an ambassador for Charleston and an ambassador for Broad Street. Got to see him, argue before the Court of Appeals and the Supreme Court, and got to see, his cases. And he had a way with people, so he had a way with juries also. One of the most important things I learned from him as an attorney was to be fair to people. So there's so many things I miss about my dad. Just our conversations from just wide-ranging variety of subjects, and I miss most just talking to him.
First met Stacy when she came to Charleston, and she began working at the public defender's office, where I was also a public defender. Stacy is definitely one of the smartest people I ever knew. Very dedicated, very hardworking, very committed advocate. She treated her clients like she treated everybody else. Attentive, nice to deal with, paid attention, was never condescending, never pushed. And she got very good resolutions for her folks, and they were very appreciative. And also, despite being an overachiever and driven, she was funny and kind. You could trust everything she said or did was true, and we just had a very mutual respect and affection for each other. Stacy met Dan in California, where they were at law school together, and they had an amazing relationship. When she got sick, he was a rock. And the thing that I think defined her, it was how she dealt with her illness with such complete bravery. She still found pleasure in her life, even at its ending. I just miss her sense of humor. But mainly, I just miss that she was always Stacy.
My dad was one of a kind, to say the least. He was funny. He had a way of dealing with people that was unique to him. And he was just such a unique guy in everything he did. You're talking about a guy that was a lawyer, but also a race car driver, also artist, a pastel artist. And a surfer, around black belt in jiu-jitsu. The list goes on. He was a modern day Renaissance man. My father, as a family man, he was unique. He has 3 boys, including myself, and I know that we meant the world to him. He was really our best friends when it came to my brothers and I. He was always there for us, and when you screwed up, he was there. One of the things he taught me as a lawyer, and taught a lot of young lawyers this, was, there's a couple rules to this game that aren't taught in the books, and that is how you treat people. When it came to the practice of law, I might not agree with everything he said at the time, but now that he's gone, and it's only been less than a year, I'm realizing that 99% of the time he was right, and I was just not listening the way I should have been listening to him. So I do miss going over stuff like that with him. But I miss his personality, and I think everyone misses that. Some people that are lawyers, that is their whole persona. They're a lawyer. That wasn't him. That was what he did for a living. But he was a person that was there to help people, is what he was.
I first met Bill in 1998 when I came to work at what were then the offices of the McNair law firm. Bill had a lot of political skills from early in his career. So one of his strengths as a lawyer and as a public finance lawyer was the ability to bring people together, to be a consensus maker. We were fortunate in a lot of respects in that we had a small group of large clients. So a lot of the relationships were like family. Bill and I spent a lot of time together, obviously, every day for 25 years. But our best opportunity to talk was often in the car. One of the primary topics was always family. And Bill was surrounded by very strong, smart women. He was married to Tommy. He had 2 daughters and he had 2 granddaughters. He loved to give back to the community. He loved managing people. He had the opportunity to be the manager of the McNair Law Firm for a period of years, and he really enjoyed that. Bill taught me a lot of things. So I think one of the biggest takeaways is how he treated people and how he taught me to treat people. I'm going to miss lots of things, but I think just having a friend that I trusted for 25 years